Let me first say that we here at No Time to Cook miss you guys so much, and we're so excited to start our virtual online classes. I have the honor of hosting a class on May the 30th, that's a Saturday at 1 p.m., and I get to do sourdough, which I absolutely love and adore, so I couldn't be more thrilled to bring this to you guys. So today I'm just going to talk to you about Sourdough Starter and how to make a starter from scratch at your own home. However, let me preempt this with, we have Sourdough Starter here available at the kitchens in No Time to Cook. So if you don't want to put the time and effort into developing your own starter, know that you can buy some here. But if you want to do this all from scratch on your own, what you're going to do is you just need 2 ingredients, flour and water. And you can use bread flour or you can use all-purpose flour. I started this yesterday, so this is in its first day, and it is 50 grams water and 50 grams of bread flour. And I put a piece of cheesecloth over top of it, secured by a rubber band. And this is because sourdough starter uses wild yeast. And so you need to let it be able to breathe and capture wild yeast, which is in the air around you. So what happens is that wild yeast comes into your sourdough starter and it feeds on the starches and it creates sugar. And then bacteria and the yeast together feed on that sugar and produce lactic acid, alcohol, and carbon dioxide. This might sound familiar to you because beer is fermented in a very similar way. But for sourdough bread, the alcohol is burned off when you bake, and the lactic acid gives the sourdough bread kind of that tart, sour flavor, and the carbon dioxide is what leavens the bread. So in here, so day 1 for your sourdough starter, you're gonna mix 50 grams of water, 50 grams of flour. And then on day 2, you're going to mix, from day 2 on, it's going to be equal parts flour, water, and sourdough starter. So to keep the amount of flour that we're using to a minimum, I'm going to have that total be 150. So we're going to use 50 grams of our sourdough starter, 50 grams of bread flour, and 50 grams of water. Now here at No Time to Cook, we're on city water, which is not ideal for sourdough bread making. The chlorine in the water has a negative impact on the yeast. So what you want to do is use filtered water if you're on city water. If you're on well water, hooray, you can use it right away. Or another option if you're on city water is just to allow your water to sit out at room temperature for 24 hours and the chlorine's going to evaporate out of that. So here I have 50 mils of water, which should equal about 50 grams of water. You're gonna need a scale. This is my favorite scale. It's OXO, and this detaches, which comes in really handy if you have a big bowl that you're placing on top. You can pull this out and still read your weight. So I'm gonna get that ready for us. And I'm going to transfer our sourdough starter to a bigger glass jar. So I'll start by measuring out the bread flour. So again, we're looking for 50 grams. And you can use all-purpose flour, but if you do, I really recommend that you use unbleached or all-purpose flour. All right, there we are at 50 grams. Now I'm going to weigh in the 50 grams of water. All right, and then last but not least, we need 50 grams of our sourdough starter, which will be about half of this from day 1 since it was just 50 grams of each. Ooh, that was close. All right, the remaining amount in there. Okay. It's a little sticky on day 1. So yeah, day 1, you're not gonna get a lot of activity in here. You might see a couple of bubbles, but it's still maturing and fermenting, if you will. All right, so then you just stir all this together until there's no like dry patches of flour left in your starter. And then again, you're just gonna cover it back up with the cheesecloth and let it sit for another 24 hours. And then on day 3, you can commence a double feeding if you want to. So, you know, let's say you feed your sourdough starter at 8 o'clock in the morning, then 8 o'clock that night, you'll feed it again. But you're gonna wanna keep your starter level at 150 grams. So again, it'll be 50 grams sourdough starter, 50 grams flour, 50 grams water in here. And then the rest of this, the leftover stuff that you have, you can just discard. And that is a healthy feeding by having tripling it. So, anyways, I just wanted to show you the difference here. This starter is really kind of tacky. There's not a lot of bubbles in it. It's really, it's very in its infant stage. This I fed this morning at 9 o'clock, and it's about almost 4. And you can look at it, you can see all the bubbles starting to, it's really active, which is fantastic. And I'm gonna open it up here. Bubbles in there, some of them might be breaking the surface, but it's nice and active. And you can tell when you have a good mix is when it passes what they call the float test. So when your sourdough starter is ready to go, you should be able to take a little bit of it, and it should float just like that in your water, and then you know it's ready to be used to create a loaf. So anyway, I hope you guys will join me in our class. And again, just for your sourdough starter, all you really need is a glass jar, some cheesecloth, a rubber band, water, and flour. And a scale is very helpful to get equal parts. So see you soon.